everybody, thanks for joining me here today. This is Nicole with Topaz. Today we are here for the introduction to the new Topaz Star Effects. Thanks for your interest in the new program, and today we're going to be going over all different sorts of looks that you can achieve in your light sources using this new program. And with Topaz Star Effects, it's actually a really fun and pretty easy to use program. It gives you the ability to selectively create different looks from really soft natural glows and beautiful starbursts that give you some very realistic rays, like you'll see over here in this top left image, to pretty obvious, more artistic and graphic star effects like you see down here in these Christmas lights. It's very easy to select all different types of looks, and we're going to be going over all of those workflows today. So let's go ahead and jump on into the program. Let me just get out of there. All right, first I'm going to show you a few before and afters of the images you just saw in that little collage on the intro page. This image here is just a really soft natural starburst that was added. Here's the original image. And after Topaz Star Effects, you'll see those rays coming through the trees, or it gives that effect at least. Here are those Christmas lights. Here's before and after. There's several different ways within the program to add these effects selectively, so we were able to quickly add it to the entire image and then take out the star effects in this upper row very quickly. I can show you how to do that as well with our selective brush. You can also have really soft natural glows, and I have a new glow technique that I'll go over. Here's before and after. So it just enhances those little highlights within the dewdrops on this rose very beautifully. You can also create more obvious effects like you see here in this these river lights. Here's before and after. Many times your camera and your lens will actually create stars on their own, and you can see that within this image down here in this lower right. You see that this light actually does have quite a nice star effect going on naturally. Up here in this left top one, you also see that effect pretty obviously. So I was able to go in and just enhance that and really have that stand out using star effects. And this is one of my favorite images for the particular, this is the image we'll take in first just to show you all the different things you can do with the Star Effects program. But here's before. Here's after. It's really beautiful on night shots just to give a really natural, realistic type of glow coming off of these highlights in this image. So let's go ahead and look at a couple more here. Here's this city image. This is great. This is before, and this is just a little bit of a glow going on in the highlights. Here's after. So it just kind of enhances and gives that inner glow to these highlights. Again, here's before and after. So it doesn't have to be a really obvious effect. It can just give your image that little extra oomph, is how I like to say. All right, so let's start off with this alley image and jump into the program. I'm just going to make a quick background copy, and then I'm going to access Topaz Star Effects the way that I access all the rest of my Topaz filters, by going to the filter list, going to Topaz Labs, and then Topaz Star Effects. I am using Photoshop CS5 today, but we are compatible with earlier versions of Photoshop and Photoshop Elements, as well as Paint Shop Pro, Aperture, iPhoto, Lightroom. If you want to see all of the different programs that we are compatible with, just check out our support page. It's one of the frequently asked questions, so you can just check that out to see what versions of those programs we're compatible with. So I'm just going to go down to Topaz Star Effects. And when you pop it open, it's going to look like most of our other programs. It's set up in a very similar way. Over on the left, you have your preset panel with your preset preview up top. Then you have the presets below, and as you scroll over these presets, you'll see up at your preset preview that the preview will give you a little idea of what might happen to your image if you click on it. So let's say I click on dewdrops. This is going to be really obvious. So I just click over there, And over here on my right, you can see in the main preview that that effect was added. Down at the bottom of the preset panel, you have Save, Delete, Import, and Export. Here you can save your user-made presets. Just type in the preset name and then press OK, and then it's going to be here in your preset list after you do that. You can delete your user-made presets if you find that you don't actually like it. And then you can import and export presets for sharing with other users or posting those online, etc., etc. Then you have your menu button. The menu button is going to give you some preferences like turning on and off your tooltips. Once you're pretty familiar with the program, those tooltips can get a little bit annoying, so you can just turn those off using this checkbox. You can also turn off the preset preview at startup if you don't like that there, and other choices as well. You also enter your key through this menu button, and then you can access tech support and the user's guide through here as well. Over here in the main area, you have the main preview, and you can click before and after, these tabs up here on the left, to see your before image and your after image. You can also toggle back and forth with your space bar and your left mouse button, so you can do several different ways to see your before and after. Additionally, we do have this split screen mode where you click and you'll see your before on your left and your after on your right. Oopsie daisy, there we are. And then you can go back to your main screen mode here. Looks like somehow, there we are. Okay, now over here on the right we have our preset preview. And I'm sorry, not the preset preview, this is our preview navigator. When you scroll in, you can see that the red box is what you're looking at in your main area, and you can just scroll down, up, wherever you want to be within your image. The fit is going to fit it back into your main window, and the 1-to-1 is going to get you to 100% every time. You can undo and redo using these buttons here. You can use your snap feature, which is great if you're playing around with your image and during your workflow you think you might be at a stopping point but you want to continue playing. You can take snapshots of your adjustment panel here, and then you can toggle back and forth between your snapshots until you're ready to select which snapshot you want to stick with. You can take up to 99 snapshots too during each workflow, so it's a really nice feature to have. Here's our adjustment panel, which we'll get to in just a sec, but we also have Reset All. This will take everything back to the default of no stars, so you can see that that now goes away. But let's say you get to a point, let's say you have an image where you want to put several different star effects. So we want to have tiny little stars, a little bit of glow happening down here, and then we want to have some larger effects up here on our lights. You can use this apply button. The apply button will stack several different effects during the workflow. So if you get to a point, let's say starry night, here's before, here's after, and you want to apply that, you can just say apply. And now if I go to my before image, you can tell here, oops, I was going before and after. Here's my before image. You can tell that starry night has been applied to the image. It is now my base image. So that is something you just need to be aware of, that you're not able to take it away. You can't do undo. It is now the base image. To get back to your original image, you need to cancel out and then go back in. But it is a great feature if you have several different light sources that you want to modify in different ways. Just going to press Reset All, make sure I can get back. And we'll start off on our adjustment panel now. We have set this up in 4 steps in your workflow. Up here in this first one, Star Settings, you're going to see your mode, which is going to give you 2 options, Combined and Stars Only. This is going to display and process both the base image with the star effects or just your stars only. So it just depends on what mode you're in. So let's say I'm just going to add a star real quick. I'll add this star. So let's say I've added a star and I want to just look at the star alone. I click on stars only and I can see that there. This is really good to find out if maybe if it's not obvious, if you've accidentally added 2 stars and you only wanted 1, you can look at it this way. Also, you can process this as your final image. That's kind of fun too. You can have some really nice effects there. Let's go back to our combined. Okay, we have star type, which I will get into here in just a moment. And then we have add, remove stars. You just saw how easy it was to add a star. I'm going to add one more star. Okay, so I've added 2 stars in my highlights up here. This is one way to add stars to your image. This is how I like to add stars if I only have a couple points to work with, and I find it's going to be the quickest way to work with that. It's very easy to remove stars as well. You just press remove, change your brush size, go over the stars that you might want to remove. Okay, then you have your main adjustments. In your main adjustments, these are the main characteristics of your stars. The threshold is going to tell the program how many light sources to consider as star effects. At 0, it takes all of the smallest light sources, all of the tiny light sources in your image, all of the light points, all of the white points, and we'll add stars to every single one of those. And then as you take your threshold up, it starts to erase those smaller ones, and it will only affect the larger areas. So this can control, if you want to put a lot of different stars in your image, this can control that effect as well. Now, one thing to be aware of is that remove and add star brush that we used. Look up here. The stars aren't being created right here. That's because the threshold defers to whatever you've already done in the add remove star. So this will take higher priority in your star creation. So if you want to add stars to something you've already removed, you can just quickly go in and do that. Just know that whatever you do here is going to take higher priority than this threshold. So even when we go up to 1, which is no stars within the image, those 2 stars will stick because we use that add remove. Okay, let's go ahead and jump back into star settings. Now that you know how to add stars to your image, I'm going to show you the different star types you have. So here we have traditional star, which is just going to be equal star spikes coming from the middle of your star. Then you have burst star, which is going to kind of look like a starburst, several different lengths and angles of those spikes. Then you have cross star. It's going to have a look of your traditional cross shape. Then you have hyper star. This starts to do the same, similar as the burst star, but changes very, very differently when you add more spikes in there, and I'll show you how or what I mean. Here we have the Hollywood star, which is one of my favorites for creating starbursts. It's really pretty, or actually, I'm sorry, sunbursts. We have North Star shape and a vector star. Now, these shapes change. Let's go to this Hollywood star and go to main adjustments, and I'm going to go to this slider number of points. So now I'm going to, let's say I'll add in 9 points. So now you see that that star shape will change, and many of these will start to take on several different looks. So just remember that you can do several different looks by changing that number of points and playing with these star types. So let's stick with, we'll go back to the traditional star. Okay, so now back in our main adjustments. So we've gone over threshold. Luminance is going to control the brightness of your star. So increasing this is going to just increase the overall brightness and transparency of the star effect. As you take this down, you'll start to see through those spikes. It'll be a little bit more natural of a feel, and as you take this up, it starts to be much more obvious and much more solid shape. Then your size, pretty obvious. You just take that down, your size will get smaller. You take this up, your size will get larger. It is dependent upon the size of the other stars within your image. So for example, if we had all of these little stars, that's as large as these little stars are going to be able to get because of all of the other sizes. So even though they will decrease in size as you take that size down, they're not ever going to be able to be as large as these stars because the original light source where it's coming from isn't nearly as large as this. So it is kind of a smart star size slider, like I like to say. Let's take this threshold back up, get rid of those. Okay, now we have angle, and that's just going to change the angle of your star. You can go from 0 to 180. Then you have number of points. We already went over that, but you can get up to 16 points in your star and all the way down to 1. So you can have some streak type of lights too. Let's go back up. Then we have something called spread. This works in conjunction with the luminance. So as you take your spread up, it's going to soften up your edges of the stars, and it's going to have it be more transparent on those edges, a little diffused, but then the center will start to become larger and it'll start to become more solid. As you take that up, it just starts to take on different types of shapes. Then your luminance, you can come in at that point, start to take that luminance down, and you can see how that's going to work in conjunction with the spread. As you take the spread down, it will become much more sharp on your, let's take that luminance up, much more sharp on the spikes, and the center will become much smaller. So you have a lot of different options for your shape. Okay, and your color adjustments, which I just love, you have several different choices here. Your saturation is going to pull from the light source that you have, that the star is being made from. So whatever color or underlying color is in there, it will start to saturate it with that. So as you move this up, you'll start to see that these particular stars start to take on a magenta hue, because that is the original underlying color of the light source. Then instead of doing saturation, or in addition to, you can move this temperature slider and go much more warm with your effect or much more cool. And this is going to affect all of your stars, so if you just want to have it a cool or warm look, you can do that very easily. Then you have something called a rainbow strength. Your rainbow strength is going to add in a rainbow type of effect in your star. So let me show you. Let me take this really high, because that's pretty high. You can see really obviously here is the rainbow starting from the middle and going out towards the edges. This is something that can be very effective coming off of lights, because it's a natural prism type of effect that you will see in many lights. Now you might not see it that obviously. You could take that down a little bit, but then you have rainbow frequency as well. You can push that up and you'll start to see the frequency of the rainbows will become much greater. And let me take that strength up so you can see it more. So I hope you're able to see that, and you can see several rainbows that are actually in there. So this is something that can really help with the authenticity of certain light effects. Okay, and lastly we have additional effects. This is one of my new favorite areas, because it really is it's separate from everything else. Now you can add secondary points, which you can see in this stars right here. They're smaller secondary little very sharp points to your stars. You can add a natural glow, which will come from the middle, and it's a very beautiful effect. And then you can start to add a ring flare as well, and that ring flare can be very subtle, or can be much stronger and more obvious. Now one of my new favorite things is the fact that you can take away your main star and still have the ability to add in additional effects. You can add in just glow to certain light sources. And this is just a beautiful effect that we're going to go over here shortly. Or you can add secondary points. Now these secondary points are very small little sharp spikes. So this is great for starry nights and adding sort of that galaxy type of stars that can be popular in certain effects, and the ring flare as well. So let's get rid of our main star by just taking the luminance away, and you can see that all of the effects and my additional effects are still there. So I can take my secondary points away and my ring flare and just have a glow. So this is great for certain types of looks. Now you still have a center point, but you just don't have the star that goes along with it. Or you can take the glow down and again just add your secondary points in for very, very sharp, very, very little stars. And what will affect this as well is the number of points within the original star that will add additional secondary points. And you can add that ring flare in for some really cool effects as well. So hope that gives you some ideas to start off with. We're now going to be going over several different workflows. If you saw some images in the before and afters or some other images that I'm about to show you, definitely type them in if you want me to go over them. We have several different ones, but I won't be able to go over all of them, but let me show you a few more before and afters. This is our candlelight. This was easily created with one of our presets. So here's before and after. Thought this was cute effects. We'll go over this here shortly. Which one do I want? I want to show you one of my new favorite images. It goes over several different types of effects in one image. So what I want to do with this particular image is add a sun flare to my sun effect. We already have some beautiful rays coming through these clouds because of the shadows, but I just want to add to the actual sun itself and just kind of give it that extra something. I also want to add really strong glow effect, or really make this reflection in the water of this beautiful color yellow just pop off of the water. Additionally, I want to come into my clouds and make this silver lining around the cloud just really start to pop out and have these highlights really glow and have a very nice effect. So let's try to do that. It's actually a pretty quick and easy thing to do once you know exactly how to work with it. So the first look that we'll cover here is the sun flare. We do have several different types of presets for the sun flare, so you can just click on that, and you'll notice when I clicked on that, the sun flare actually didn't come to my sun. It came up here to one of the brightest points within the sky. So I'm just going to keep a look up there as I go over several other different sun effects, and once I find something that I like, let's start off with the sun flare 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open up my star settings, and I'm just going to add this star effect to my sun. That didn't work out. Hold on one second. Let me remove it first from up here. There we go. All you do is have to click, and let me just add it again here. There we go. I think that added several stars. You can see that it's quite bright. So I'm going to go into my stars only and see if that's true. And you can tell let me scroll in here to 100%. You can tell that there are 2 stars because of those 2 rings around there. So what I'm going to do is just go to my remove button, take my brush size down, and try to remove one of these stars. There we go. Now I'm down to 1 star, and this is going to look much better. So I'm going to go back to my combined. Okay, and we'll leave it at 100% here so we can look at it. Okay, so it's looking pretty good already, but what I want to do is add in a little bit more saturation from the natural sun color that was there before, and I also want to take away that ring flare. So I'm going to go into my additional effects and just take that ring flare away and take my secondary points away as well. I'm going to go into my main adjustments and change the number of points on my sun. I don't like how many rays are there. So let's see here. I like that 11. So here's before, here's after. It's looking pretty good. I'm also going to take my spread down just a little, or maybe up. Just playing around here. This is what I really like to do, just to try to get it to be more natural. Just play. Okay, so I'm pretty happy there. I'm going to go into my color adjustments. I'm going to take that temperature down, the warmth, and just add in some more natural saturation. There we go. Okay, so here's before, here's after. It's looking pretty good to me. I could work on that a little bit more, but I want to go into some of the glow effects for the water now. But if I start working with these glow effects for the water, I'm going to lose what I just did here in my sun. It's not going to make any sense for me to come in and change all this because I just worked on my sun. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply it because I'm happy with it and I want it to stick. And now I can move on let me check out. Here's my before image, and now you can see my base image has that star effect in there. So now I'm going to work on the glow for my area down here. Let's scroll in. Okay, it already has this quite beautiful reflection and very strong, bright colors, but I just want to emphasize that a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Reset All, and I am going to only really work with my glow and my color adjustments. So what I need to do first is take my threshold all the way down and add stars everywhere. Okay, now that I've done that, I'm going to take my luminance all the way down, and now all of my stars have disappeared. Now all that I need to do is come into my additional effects, take my glow, I'm just going to take it all the way up, see what happens. Okay, you can see it definitely added glow points, but it's pretty obvious and not very natural at this point. One thing that I can do, I can come into my color adjustments and start saturating with the natural colors. And I'm only focusing down here, not on my clouds at this point. And I'm actually just gonna, well, that's starting to take on a little bit different. I'm going to take my temperature up. There we go. It's starting to take on the color. And now I'm going to go into my main adjustments and work with my size because it's way too much glow at this point. The glow size is pretty high. You can go pretty big with it or very natural and small with it. So here's before, here's after. You can tell the glow. Again, I'm just focusing down here and not on my clouds at this point. Again, here's before and after. I want to add a little bit more in there. There we go. Now it's starting to just really jump off. Here's before, here's after. So just a really beautiful glow coming off that water now. I'm pretty happy with that, but now I have all this in my clouds and I don't really want this type of glow within my clouds. So the way that I'm going to work with this is I'm going to scroll back so I can see the entire image, go into my star settings, go to my remove button, and just remove everything within my sky. And I'm going to even come down into my stars or my sun because stuff was being added in there as well. Okay, and now here's before, here's after. I've only worked on this front part, before and after, and I'm good. I'm going to apply that now. Lastly, I'm going to work on my clouds, and I'm going to pretty much go over the exact same workflow except focusing on my clouds. So I'm going to stay at this fit area, and I'm going to reset all since I've applied, and now I'm going to take my threshold all the way down. I'm not going to be worried about all of this up here. I'm only going to be worried about the silver lining that I want to affect. I'm going to take my luminance down. I'm going to keep my size right there. I'm going to go into my additional effects and take my glow up. Take it up pretty high. Color adjustment, saturate. Okay. My temperature, I'll go a little bit warm. And then my main adjustments, I will work on my size a little. So here's before, here's after, starting to really be beautiful. Again, before and after. Okay, let me just go in and take a little bit down. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to go with my star settings and go over the same workflow of taking it out of all the rest of my image. There we go. Okay, so now we have before and after. Again, before and after. There's a couple things I don't like what's happening with the saturate with these little points of magenta. So what I'm going to do is maybe see if I can just add, not saturate at all, and just add a bunch of warps, see what happens. Well, I do like some saturation, so we'll just get rid of, oh, there we go, that's starting to look good. Okay, here's before, here's after. So I'm happy and I'm going to press OK. So I've added star effects to 3 different types of effects within my image. I have my main sun, I have my water, glow, reflection, and I have the lining of the clouds. Again, here's before and after. Just added some beautiful lighting enhancement to the image. It's my favorite type of workflow for this particular plugin. So next, let's go ahead and take a look at this particular image. This is something where you would add maybe a more obvious graphic type of star, and you can do it very selectively within this image, and you don't have to add it to all of the highlights right away. We can just use that addition selective brush. So now I'm just going to go in real quick. And I'm actually we've created some of these presets over here that are specifically named off of how they were created. So this Jewel Sparkle 1 and 2, they were created on images that were working with jewels. So that's where I like to start off with. So I like this effect, but there's several things that you need to remember when you're working with the presets in this particular program. And in a lot of our other programs, the presets will work for a lot of your images. Most likely, the presets for this particular plugin are not going to be the correct size or luminance on your image. So yes, while this looks great, the size is a little out of control. The threshold is way too many. So all I would have to do is come in here, take my threshold up. Okay, I could work with it like this. Then take my luminance and do what I needed to do, and then take my size and work with that. So you'll have to work a little bit over here in this adjustment panel no matter what, usually, to make it work for your image. Then you could come in and you can remove the extra little ones that you don't really want in your image, simply as this. And then you have something that looks really good. That just took a few minutes. I particularly like this Jewel Sparkle preset right here because I think it just works for this image. Here's before and after. I like the star effect a little bit more. It's more obvious. So I would do this and come in and just remove that one right there. And I'm pretty happy right away. Maybe come in and change the angle. And then maybe the rainbow effect that's coming off of these jewels, it would be a more natural type of prism light coming off of this. So maybe something along these lines. So very quickly you can get these more graphic, obvious stars, but you can still apply them in a selective way, and they can still be very artistic for your image. Now, one thing to know, I have a couple questions about adding stars where there aren't light effects. That is not possible at this time. We are looking into all of these different feature requests that are coming in, and we're definitely going to consider each and every one of them. But at this time, this particular version only creates stars where there are bright light sources. It's going to take the top percentage of the lightest values in your image, and it's going to recognize that as your light source. So sometimes it's not even an actual light source that it's working on, it's just a reflection, or if it's just a bright point within your image. So it's very easy to create stars where there isn't a light source at this time. And I'll use this image to show you real quick. I showed this last week, but I want to go over a little bit extra. Just going to paint in using my paintbrush in Photoshop. I have a white swatch here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab that white swatch, and I'm just going to add a little bit of color to it. So here's just a little bit of pink. I'm going to say okay. I'm going to add a little pink dot over here in this left corner just to show you. I'm going to come over here, maybe go down to yellow, add a little yellow dot. Come back over here. And maybe I'll add a little green one. So there we go. So they're all pretty white. You can't tell the difference in color that obviously. But if I take it into Star Effects, and let's say I just add in, let's add in a big one. Well, let's just go over here to our star settings, take our threshold all the way down. And you can see over here on the left, it recognized those points as stars or as light sources because they were on the brightest area or the brightest values within the image. So it's very easy to create these stars as well in skies or these effects on a blank canvas as well. So you can do that, and as you can see, because our color adjustments, it's saturated with the natural color it was coming from, you can see that that pink, yellow, and green was recognized as the underlying color within that light source. So as you saturate it even more, it'll be really obvious because that is that underlying color. So you can really come in here and work with it and play with it in a graphic manner that is very versatile. So I'm going to press cancel out of here, and I'm going to take a look at some of your other questions coming through, and then we can take a look at some other images, some more natural and more graphic, whichever you would like. Gary says being able to process just the stars without the background means that we can end up with our stars in a different layer back in Photoshop. Very nice. Yes, that is true, Gary. It is a lot of fun to be able to process just the stars as opposed to the image. Gary says, please show how we can get the sun behind the trees effect. Thanks. Sure, Gary. Let me go to that image. I believe you're talking about this particular image, and actually it's not necessarily the effect is behind the trees, because we can't really, doesn't really have a depth perception within the program, but you can really get this look quite easily, because if it's somewhat translucent and a very soft effect, it does start to just feel like it is behind there. So the first way that I would start out with this is I would work with the sun flare presets and just click on those and see if any of those start to work for me. And I'd say that the sun flare 2 is, well, maybe the sun flare 1 today. Let's play with that. So I have 2 effects being shown here. You can see that here, and I want to get rid of this one since that's not really where I want it coming from. I just want one light source, so I'm just going to click on remove, click on that sun effect. Got to click right in the middle when it's a small brush like this, and then I'm happy to go back to my combined area. So right away I have before and after. I have this sun ray effect because it's translucent. You can see through to the tree and it starts to look like rays. Again, before and after. So I'm just going to play with this just a little bit. The luminance, I think I'll keep the size up high like this. Maybe change my number of points. And actually I want to change my star. I think I want to change it to the Hollywood star. Maybe. Yeah, I do, because I like the way the ray effect is happening, but now it's way too bright and the spread is, there we go. Take that spread down, take that luminance down. And now I'm going to go into my color adjustments, take the saturation a little bit down because it's really starting to grab that magenta-y color. Maybe take that temperature just a little bit more warm. Do a little bit of rainbow strength for a more natural effect. Come into my additional effects. My glow is up really high. I think I'll take that down just a little, maybe a little higher. Okay, and take that ring flare up just a little, or I could take it out completely. It's really up to you. Come into my main adjustments. Might take my luminance a little bit back up. But this is how I would do it. I would just work with it until it starts to become really natural. And for me, this is becoming pretty natural at this point. And I can start to see these rays that are coming through on the trees. Again, here's before, and here's after, before, and after. And one of my favorite new images to play with for this particular type of effect is this tree right here, with the sun coming through some of the branches. It's behind it. So if you want to create a sun effect, very easy in this particular one, in the same process. So filter, Topaz Star Effects. I'm actually not going to start with one of the presets. I'm just going to play. So I'm just going to come to my star effects and add in. And, well, maybe I will start with the sun flare. We'll do that same one. And it gave me 2 effects, both where I don't want them. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come in and remove there and remove there. Now I have it gone. I'm going to take my brush size down and press add, and I'm just going to add it right here. Oh, I added a couple accidentally, so let me go into my star mode. Remove. There we go. Combined. Okay, so right away I kind of have a cool effect, but to make this much more natural, like Gary was talking about, you need to come in and adjust your luminance, adjust maybe the number of points to be a little bit more natural, maybe the size or spread of the image. So you can get this really cool effect that's very natural, not necessarily really super obvious that you added it in, which I kind of like. I like the subtlety of this that this program can have. And somebody can just look at the image and say, wow, look at that beautiful light, as opposed to, oh, did you add that star effect in there? I kind of like the subtle action that you can have with it. So this is very quickly we were able to do before and after. And I'm pretty happy with that right there. So I'm just going to press OK. Okay, Cheryl would like to see the rose with the drops of water. Absolutely. Let's take a look at that. Okay, here's this rose image, and all I want to do is give those little dewdrops a natural inner glow. And what I would do is go through my glow technique, and it's very simple. It's just a few steps. I'm going to take my threshold all the way down. I'm going to take my luminance all the way down to remove all those stars. Then I'm going to come into my additional effects, take those glow up. I can come into my color adjustments. I'm going to saturate it. Maybe add a little warmth. Let me come into my main adjustments. Take my size down a little bit. Go back into my additional effects. Take my glow all the way up. And here's before and after. Let me just change that size one more time. Whoop, there we go. Now it's starting to be a little bit more obvious. Here's before. Here's after. Now there are a couple points on this where it might not be appropriate, like these two little points right here I would probably remove. Again, here's before and after. Maybe change my color back to regular temperature. Before and after. So it was as quick as that, and it just gives it a very nice inner glow, and you can't really tell what's happening here. You just think that it has a beautiful light coming through it. Here's before and after. Okay, I have a request for that. Where did it go? Oh, the city before and after. Again, the same idea about the glow. I'm loving this new glow technique because I think it's really appropriate for a lot of images, and it's just such a simple way to give a very beautiful light to your image. So here I do have something called city lights, and that might be appropriate for a lot of your images. So city lights, here's before, here's after, again before and after. But I created these presets before I realized that the additional effects were separate from the star. So there is a little bit of a star in this glow effect. If you want to get rid of that, again, all you have to do, take that threshold all the way down. Because I want to add a lot of glow, I'm going to take my luminance all the way down. And because that took the star effect away, and because my actual glow is very, very high at this point, that is why you're starting to see all this really big glow happening. So you can get this to be a really cool effect, like here. Here's before, here's after. You can take those color adjustments, really saturate it with the color of the lights from the city, which you would actually have. You know, you're going to have the haze of the red lights, the haze of the yellow lights. It's going to take on the color characteristics of that light, since this is artificial light. And if you want to take that size down just a little and make it a little bit less obvious, you can do that. Or you can take the size back up, have it really glow, but then have the glow down, just the glow strength. So this is as quick as you can really get with these images if you are familiar with this. Here's before, here's after. Let's take a look at that one-to-one. Okay, so here we are at 100%. When you have a ton of stars like we do have for this particular image or effects being generated, it will take a little bit longer, but you can tell here, here's before and after. You just have this really natural type of light. I mean, essentially it is light pollution, but that haze that comes off from there, you can add that effect in there. So really beautiful type of glow. Let's say okay. Let me continue on here. Richard says, do I have any examples of subtle effects with catch lights in the eyes? I don't, but let's check it out. That's a great question. Let's go to my picture library here and see if I can find an image of somebody that has a catch light in their eyes. Let's see if she has a good catch light. I believe she does. Or, let's see here. Sorry, just give me one moment to check this out. Let's see if she has a catch light in her eyes. She does. She has this catch light right here in her eyes. It's pretty bright, so I'm guessing that I could just take in this particular image without having to selectively get into cutting out her eye. So let's just add it as opposed to doing the whole threshold. There we go. So here's a little, you're able to easily add it in there. I don't have any catch light presets, but you can scroll through and see if any of these might be appropriate, or you can come in and change the luminance and get it to be a little bit more natural. You know, this is the kind of stuff where it starts to be up to your artistic vision and whether or not you want it to be really subtle or really obvious. I like the Orbitz commercial where you see the little sparkle off of her teeth. You could be something more graphic like that and artistic and funny, or you could actually come in here and try to make this a very realistic type of catch light by working with the size and just adding a little twinkle. And for this one, there really wouldn't be any sort of adjustments as far as color. You could take the temperature up because, again, it's not based on color, but that starts to look silly on a black and white image. But you get the idea. So here's before, here's after. If you look at it 100%, ooh, that's a really dusty image. There we go. You can see exactly what it looks like. Here's before, here's after. Okay, let's see here. Continuing on down. Lee says, very interesting, that is also so effective with black and white. Absolutely. There's some beautiful effects you can get with black and white, especially to add in glow and add in just a feeling of sparkle to your highlights. Will start to just really take your image to that next level with the light. I really like the landscape images that I've done with black and white and star effects. You can really get those highlights to just jump off of your image. Just beautiful stuff. All right, everybody, it looks like I've answered all the questions, so I hope you see something within the program that you're going to be able to add to your workflow. Thanks again, and have a wonderful week, everybody. Bye-bye.